I am going to make a model of a tank. It's going to be a fairly simple model, and you should know that going in. So, simple model of a tank. I'm going to get rid of the timeline and the properties panel over here by pressing Shift Space. And also get rid of the toolbar on the side by pressing T. And I'm going to go into Quad View, Control Alt Q. I want this cube to serve as the basis of the tank, but I'm going to expand it slightly by scaling it in the Y direction to make it longer, and scaling it in the Z to make it shorter, and scaling it in the X to make it fatter. And there, that'll serve as the body of the tank. I want to look at the underside of the tank because I want to create a sort of a skirt. I don't want to go to the trouble of making wheels at the moment, so my tank is going to be a hover tank, and so I need to make a skirt for that to look vaguely okay. Although really I just want to show you how extrusion works. So I want to look at the bottom of the tank, not the top. And if I try and alter the view over here by pressing, say, 1, you'll notice that it switches the top right hand view to front ortho or top ortho or whatever you like, but pressing it over here in this window has no effect because this window is locked. I want to unlock it so that I can look at the bottom of the tank in this window. To do that, I can bring up the properties panel and scroll down to display, and just underneath toggle quad view there's a lock button. I'm going to unlock that so that I can come over here and change this to the bottom view. The bottom view is not numpad 7, which is top, it's control numpad 7, which gives you the bottom view. You can do that as well to do, instead of front back and instead of right left, just control 7 or control 1 or control 3 on numpads. But anyway, it's the bottom I want to look at. And what I'm going to do is drop into edit mode by pressing tab, and I'm going to select the bottom of the box that is now the tank body. I can't select the bottom of the box right now by right clicking on it because I'm in point select mode down here. I need to change to face select mode so that I can right click and select the bottom face of the tank. You can see now that the only bit of the model that is orange is the bottom face. And what I'm going to do is extrude the bottom. I don't want to do that from the bottom ortho viewpoint because then when I drag the mouse it's not going to make much sense going up and down for trying to drag it down the way. So I'm going to move my mouse down here to the right view, press E for extrude, and when I pull that down it pulls the face down but then creates new faces to connect it back to the original object. With the bottom face still selected, I'm going to press S to scale it and pull in a little bit towards the center, and that's what I wanted to do, and that gives the tank a bit of a hover skirt, a magical hover skirt. I'm going to switch this view back to top with numpad 7, and the next thing I want is to add in a turret. I'm going to get rid of the properties panel for more space by pressing N, and then bring up the toolbar, pressing T, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a cylinder. The cylinder is in the wrong place, it should be over to the left, and it should be up a bit, so I'm just left clicking on its axis to drag it around. It's way too big for my tank, so I'm going to scale it down in the Z axis. Like so, and then I think it's still a little bit wide, so I'm going to scale it a little bit in. And now I want to drag it down so that it actually touches the tank. Okay, and I'm going to also make sure it's centered. So it's not really very well centered on the Y at the moment. So I'm going to press T to get rid of the toolbar, N to bring up the properties window, scroll up to the top, and I can see the position of the object there. I'm going to change it on the y-axis, sorry, on the x-axis to 0, and that centers it perfectly. And then I'm going to come out of edit mode to see what I can see. And what I can see there is that because I was in edit mode when I added the turret, it's become part of the original model. And that is what I did not want to do, because I want the turret to be separate so I can turn the turret separately. So this is a really good example where you might find yourself in a situation where you've added a mesh accidentally in edit mode, and now you've got a model that you want to be two models that's actually one model. So I'm going to have to separate them. So back into edit mode we go, and then I'll switch the side view off. I'm going to drop into wireframe mode by pressing Z, and you can kind of see it's lucky I've still got the turret selected on its own, so I can just kind of grab it and move it up and away from the body of the tank. And then to separate it, I'm going to press F. That's obviously not the right button. Oh, P, yes, that's it. P is separate. I don't know why P stands for separate, but there you go. And I can do it by selection. And so now that's a separate object. If I hadn't had the turret selected, but I had the whole object selected, I'd have had to somehow select the vertices on the turret separately from the vertices on the rest of the body in order to do this. Anyway, back we go to solid mode using Z, and back out of edit mode using tab, and then I still want to move that turret down a little bit. You'll notice oddly that the center point of the turret, which is this little orange dot, is now nowhere near the turret itself. And so we want to move that. That's because they were one object, and it thinks its center point is in the middle of the body that it used to belong to. So you might find yourself in a situation like this. I want to move the center point back to the mesh. In order to get that center point back to the center of the object, I'm going to bring up the tool shell. Hang on. I'm going to bring up the tool shelf, and there's a set origin option down here, and you can drop that down and say origin to geometry, which brings it to the center of the object. And now I've got my turret all set up with its center in a sensible location, and I've just popped it on top of the tank. I'm going to pop back into edit mode, and I want to select the top of the turret, and I'm going to do a little modeling with that. So I'm just panning, get a closer view of it here. I'm going to extrude up the way, then left click, then scale in, and then I actually want to make the top of the turret go in a little bit, just to show you that you can also extrude inwards. So I'm going to press E and drag down, and it's a bit difficult to see what's going on there. Let me just pop it up and left click, and then I'm going to Control Z to undo that move. Okay, I'm going to switch to wireframe, because in wireframe mode we can get a better view of what's happening here. So the Z key drops me into wireframe mode. I'll press E for extrude again and move down, and you can see, because we're in wireframe, you can see where you're moving. So I'll move down just that far, that's fine. And you can see the kind of shape I'm creating better maybe in this camera perspective view. I'll drop out of out of wireframe mode by pressing Z, and you can see what it is I've done to the top of the turret. So that's the body as one object. Let me tab to come out of object mode, edit mode rather, into object mode. We have the body of the tank, the turret of the tank. The next thing we need is a cannon. So to do a cannon, I'm going to create another cylinder. There's a few problems with this cylinder. It's too big, and it's not facing the right way. So I'm going to scale it down, and then scale it up in the Z to make it longer. I think I could scale it a little bit thinner again. The cannon to be too ridiculous, and then I'll scale it in the Z again. Now I want to rotate this, and I want to rotate it very accurately actually. I want to rotate it around the x-axis and by 90 degrees exactly. So I can do that all with keys. R to rotate, X to limit it to the x-axis, and then if I type 90 into the numpad, as long as numlock is on, then it's perfect. And then I'm going to left click to confirm, and now I can just move that cannon into position. center approximately, and then a little bit, maybe out a little bit as well, so the green, oh yeah, there we go, pop into place. I'm going to check on the properties menu that its location on X is exactly 0, and now we have a tank body, a tank turret, and a tank cannon. I want to model the cannon a little bit more on the end of it, so I'm going to get rid of the properties panel, the toolbar, give myself some space, zoom right in, and go into edit mode. I want to select just the pixels at the end, the vertices rather, at the end of the cannon. So I'm going to press A to deselect the whole thing, switch into wireframe mode with Z, B for box select, and select all the points on the end using box select. If I go and have a look at my cannon end here, I can see what I've selected. So down here I'm going to press E for extrude, S for scale to widen it up a bit, E to extrude it some more, about that much, and I want to, oops, I'm going to do that, I want to pan back a little bit, zoom in again, and pan, there we go, and E to extrude, and S to scale. I want to scale it down a little bit less wide than the piece on the other side. I'll show you why in a second. I want to actually make a hole for the end of the cannon. So I'm going to extrude in again, and you can see that as long as I make that smaller than the main piece of the cannon back here, then that's a sensible thing to do. I don't have to scroll it too far back because nobody's going to go that far into your model probably, and there will probably be no light in there anyway, so I'm going about that far is probably good. And if I come back out of wireframe, we can see that my tank cannon has a hole in the end of it, which is a good thing. Now, one more little trick. I thought it might be fun to have a sight on the end of my cannon. So I'm going to select the, oops, try that again. I'm going to shift select those two endpoints on the tip of the cannon here, and I'm going to extrude those up the way, and I'm going to pretend that those are our cannon sight, even though one assumes you wouldn't be aiming the cannon by hand like that. Anyway, that'll do for modeling my tank. Come back out of edit mode into object mode, and we can see that the tank is made up of these 3 pieces. At the moment, if I move one of the pieces by grabbing it, the rest of the tank kind of stays behind, and if I move the turret, the cannon doesn't move, and if I move the body, the rest of the tank doesn't move. What I want to have is a situation whereby if I turn the turret, the cannon moves automatically, and if I move the tank body, the turret and the cannon come with me. And to do that, I'm going to set up what's called a parent-child relationship between these objects. So I'm going to come back out of chord view. I'm going to select the cannon, which I want to be a child of the turret, and I'm going to shift select the turret and then press Control P, and it says set parent to object, which is what I'm going to say. And then now if I select just the turret and rotate it on the Z axis, the cannon also rotates. I still have the problem that if I move the body, the turret stays behind. So I'm going to select the turret and the body and do another Control P to, oops, I lost that one. Control P to object. And now if I move the body of the tank, maybe along the Y-axis is more sensible, the rest of the tank comes with me. So that's quick 101 on parenting as well as modeling an okay looking hover tank.